On a chilly autumn evening, the game is at Crawford Stadium, a key Suburban 1 League matchup between the 5-1 North Penn Knights and the 4-3 CB East Patriots. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Penn Television's exclusive coverage of North Penn Knights football. Along with Joe Alcaro, I'm Kyle Berger, and taking a look at the North Penn Knights, Joe, really they've done an excellent job against a Suburban 1 League schedule that has been pretty difficult this year, and coming in with a 5-1 record, they really are looking forward to getting into the playoff.
Exactly. Like you said, the 5-1 record is very representative of a good season. Their only loss came to a great CB West team, which is number 1 in the area and number 2 in the state. Kyle.
Well, Joe, we're going to take a look at those highlights from the Pennsbury match last week. On Friday afternoon, the North Penn Knights went to Pennsbury and defeated them by a score of 35-10. So to the highlight reel we'll go. We'll pick up the action at Pennsbury Stadium as North Penn got things started. On the first drive of the game, Nate Vielhauer took over on this drive, getting runs of 15 yards right there and a 25-yard trap up the middle, deep into Pennsbury territory, and that would set up halfback Heike Johnson on this sweep to get the scoring started. 7-0, North Penn took the lead. The kickoff from North Penn drove Pennsbury deep into their own territory, but they engineered a 96-yard drive that took up 10 minutes of the clock, getting big runs from their running back, Chris Schaefer. He'll get inside the 20 on this, and in the next quarter on the same drive, Dave Shimp would find a wide-open Josh Jarzik, 7-7 North Penn. The Knights were forced to punt on the next possession, and Pennsbury would take over. Josh Jarzik could not find the handle on this deep pass from Dave Shimp, but the Falcons would be able to get a field goal to close out the scoring in the second half, or in the first half rather, 10-7. The Knights got things started in the second half when Aaron Thomas picked up this inside reverse and said goodbye to the Falcons defense. 70 yards later, untouched, it's 14-10 Knights on the run by the sophomore. Another big play for the Knights as Jason Payne picks off this pass from Dave Shimp. 52 yards down the field, he goes untouched. 21-10, North Penn takes the lead. Misfortune continues for Pennsbury as their punter drops the ball, and ouch, North Penn will take over. They'll pick up action in the next quarter. Heike Johnson, his second touchdown of the game on the 7-yard option run into the end zone. 28-10 is the score. North Penn leads. And Tom Parentozzi, the quarterback, closes out the scoring for the Knights, making the score 35-10, and that was your final. The Knights outscored the Falcons 28-0 in that second half. So your final score, 35-10 from Pennsbury. Back now at Crawford Stadium, where we'll now take a look at what Coach Pettin had to say this week about tonight's game against CB East. And Joe, they bring a really potent running back to the table in Brian Scott.
You're right, Brian Scott's an outstanding running back. He has nice burst of speed, and he only needs 86 yards tonight to get 1,000 for the season, Kyle.
Well, we're going to take a look at what Coach Pettin had to say about Brian Scott and the rest of the CB East offense this week.
The number one thing is, as you mentioned before, with the running back, is we have to stop Brian Scott. That's a priority. But at the same time, you can't lose sight of some of the other talents they have. Their quarterback, Justin Habel's a very good athlete, runs very well. They have a fullback, Manny Stepakis, who has put up some big numbers, and he's a guy that you can't forget about. So I think our key this week is going to be defensively, and it's going to be geared to stopping Scott, but at the same time not losing sight of everybody else and the concept of team
So a
defense.
defensive effort is crucial for North Penn tonight, but let's not forget about that playoff picture for the Knights, Joe.
You're right. They're going to have to win the last 3 games this season to secure a playoff bid in the districts. And it would be really nice to get a good start here against a good CB West club tonight.
Here's what Coach Pettin had to say this week about North Penn's playoff aspirations.
Magic number's 3. If we want to make the district playoffs, we have to run the table, and East is a hurdle that's in our way. So we're going to prepare for them like we've prepared for everybody else and go into this game expecting to play well.
The Knights should be able to get things started tonight against the Patriots, a rather tough team coming out of CB West with a record of 4-3. But let's not overlook the next week's matchup against Neshaminy, who boasts a high-power passing attack led by quarterback Jim Dietz, a stark contrast to tonight's matchup against the running game of CB East, led by running back Brian Scott. And here's what Coach Mike Pettin Jr. had to say about the varied offenses of the Suburban 1 League football.
The league that we're in, you really get presented with different problems each week. So it's part of being successful in this league is having the flexibility in your system where you can stop the run one week, and then turn around and stop the pass the next. A fullback-oriented offense like West, a tailback-oriented offense like Council Rock or CB East or throwing offense like Neshaminy. So you have to be flexible, and your kids have to be pretty much ready for any look.
So North Penn is ready to get things going against CB East tonight, and we'll have all the big plays for you right here on North Penn Television. So keep it locked on Channel 16. We'll be back with the opening kickoff after this. Stay with us.
They've given our generation a label, X, Generation Nothing. They say we have no sense of purpose. They say we have no cause to believe in. Who are they? Join the thousands of us who are making a difference and wear a label that does mean something.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium, where the North Penn Knights are going to host the Central Bucks East Patriots in Suburban 1 League action. The Knights are about to take the field on this homecoming game, a big game for the Knights as they need to win the next three, the final three of the season rather, against CB East this week, Neshaminy next week, and Norristown on Halloween night in Norristown to secure their district playoff berth as the Knights take the field, led by their captains for tonight, Kenrick Smith, Nate Bielhauer, Andrew Seitz, and Mike Mays. Of course, Kenrick Smith filling in for the injured Jason Payne in his captaincy role. Joe, let's take a look at some keys to the game tonight for the Knights.
Like we mentioned in the pregame show, a big deal for North Penn is going to be to stop Brian Scott. He's an explosive back out of the backfield. He makes big plays, and just stopping him is going to be a big key. Also, the offensive line needs to get really beat down on the CB East offensive line, who's a little smaller than them and can't match up to them physically. And scoring first is always a big one, Kyle. You just want to get the momentum in your favor, especially, like you mentioned, going into the last 3 games of the season, wanting to make the playoffs. You want to win this one, so you want to get the momentum of this game in your favor by scoring first.
Thanks, Joe. And look at some of the notes we have for this game. Mike Kapusta is really going to be a key player for the Knights on defense tonight. He had a great game, 11 tackles, including a couple huge hits against Pennsbury last week. I was at that game, and he really stepped up, and he should be able to fill in for the injured Jason Payne. And they'll also be moving Hakeed Johnson up to Jason Payne's outside linebacker role. So Hakeed will have to play both ways tonight, and they'll also get Parentozzi a little more involved in the defense. So we see Parentozzi lining up the opening kickoff. The Knights in dark blue and gray pants will be moving from left to right on your screen, kicking off to the carbon copy of the New England Patriots uniform, the CB East Patriots. They'll be moving from right to left, and back to receive is Brian Scott along with Manny Stupakis. The squib kick will be taken by Scott inside his 5-yard line. He's out to the 10 toward the near sideline, 15, 20, 25, and tackled at the 30 by Clay Kuklik, among other North Penn Knights. So good field position for the Patriots as they start their offensive push here, Joe.
Right, on that last play, you're going to pretty much see what we're going to see all night. Brian Scott, he's got long legs, long strides, and you just got to get to his legs if you're a defensive player. You got to cut him down at the waist. You don't want him to get any more leg drive than he possibly can.
And Brian Scott comes into this game with 130 rushes for 914 yards and 14 touchdowns, a 7.3 yard per carry average. He'll be split in the backfield with fullback Tony Bevavino. Justin Habel is the quarterback for the Patriots under center. He'll take the snap and give off tackle right side to Brian Scott. He'll bust it trying to get around the corner. Good job of containing by the Knights defense. And Joe, that's a real key to this game. These defensive ends are going to have to contain if they're going to stop Brian Scott.
Right, that was a great play by Martin Leonard, the strong safety, to step up, see that Brian Scott was running to the outside, and just cut him off at the path.
Of course, North Penn's defense has really been playing well this year. They've come up with the big plays when they need to on defense. Last week, a 52-yard interception returned by the now injured Jason Payne. And really, they've stopped their other opponents' backs when they need to. And we'll talk about that as time goes by in this game. Abel takes the snap, gives up to Scott up the middle, gets about 4 yards on that play, setting up a 3rd and 9. So not much doing for the Patriots thus far. And Joe, as we were talking about before that play, the Knights defense really doing a good job keying against the other team's strong backs this year, namely Alex Wade from Council Rock, who the Knights basically shut down. And he really had his worst game of the year against North Penn. And they also did a good job of shutting down Keith Davis of Ben Salem. We'll see what they can do against Brian Scott, one of the premier backs in the area tonight. He's the single setback with Tony Bevabino, and Habel will take the snap. Inside reverse, it's Manny Stupakis. Can he get the first down? Yes, he's by the defense. Kenrick Smith, a good open field tackle. So a little inside reverse there to the running back Manny Stupakis, I believe, and he picks up 15 yards and a CB East first down.
Stupakis is listed at 5'9". He might be a little shorter than that, Kyle. He does a good job of keeping his body low to the ground and making sharp cuts like we just saw right there. That was a nice play by CB's offensive coach calling that play. It really fooled North Penn's defense. And
Stupakis really complements Brian Scott real well. They both run 4.5 40-yard dashes, so a couple speedsters in the backfield for CB East tonight. First and 10, CB East, inside handoff. It goes to Bevavino. Busts it outside, picks up about 5 yards and goes out of bounds on that far side. 2 minutes into this game, still scoreless. It'll be second and we'll call it 4 for CB East. Pickup of 6 on that play for the pullback, Tony Bevavino.
We mentioned the key to the game is the scoring first, but also on your first drive to keep the ball for a long amount of time and not let the other offense get right into the scoring drive.
So CB East has been running the ground game thus far. 2.5 minutes into this opening quarter of action in North Penn's homecoming game. Abel takes a snap and gives to Brian Scott. Cuts it outside off tackle, picks up about 10 yards and another CB East first down. Looks like CB East is just going to be running that off tackle play to Brian Scott, and you can't blame him with a talent like him.
You're right. When it's working, you don't try to stop anything, Kyle. And it really is working right now for CB East. Brian Scott really had a great breakthrough year last year as a sophomore. He really stepped up his play, got his name noticed by a lot of scouts in the area. He is one of the Division I prospects only as a junior this year.
Great all-around athlete as well. Split to the near side is wide receiver Rob Linders. Backs in the I formation, Bevavino and Scott. Here's Scott on first and 10. Picks up about 2 on that play. Tackle made by number 76, Dave Koslow for the Knights. So a pickup of 2, second and 8 for CB West inside the North Penn 37-yard line.
That was a nice play by the defensive line. They finally got to Scott right off the ball. They just broke down the offensive line on that play, and Scott tried to make a little run back, but he just couldn't cut back in time. And anytime you can hold Scott to 2 yards or 1.5 yards on a play, you're really doing a good job.
Especially with an average of 7.3 a carry. That's really a moral victory for the defense, only giving up 2 yards. So we're at second and 8. Ball on the North Penn 37-yard line. Quick pitch to Scott off the right side. Mays gets beat to the outside but recovers, and Scott is knocked out of bounds by several North Penn players. So Mike Mays does a good job of not only containing but just getting in the way of Brian Scott and making him try to cut up the field, where he was met by several North Penn Knights defenders.
You're right. You could tell Scott didn't want to make that cut there, Kyle, but he was persuaded to by Mays after chasing after him. Mays did a good job of coming around the outside end to get to Scott on that play.
Third and 8, ball on the North Penn 37-yard line. No gain on that last play by Scott. The Patriots will go with twins left, Manny Stupakis and Brian Scott, who also double as excellent wide receivers for the Patriots. Abel with the quarterback draw up the middle, stuffed by Dave Koslow and Mike Mays, the 2 defensive ends. Dropping back, a big hit on that play. That'll bring up 4th and 4 for Patriots. It appears that they might be in 4-down territory and might go for it here, of course. Their quarterback, Justin Habel, is also their punter, so we'll have to see what they do out of this formation. 4th and 4 on the 33-yard line of North Penn. I guess they'll go for it here, Joe.
Yeah, right, but anytime your quarterback is the punter, there's always that little key for a fake punt, which we saw against CB West when North Penn ran it with Parentozzi.
So it's Scott and Stupakis split left, single setback, Bevavino. Habel back to pass. The fade pattern to Scott. Parentozzi. Oh my, Brian Scott somehow catches that ball. I don't believe that. Parentozzi appeared to have good position, but Brian Scott with his 6'2", 200 frame is able to get over the 5'11", 165-pound frame of Tom Parentozzi. Ball knocked around a little bit. Scott picks it up, and it's a 33-yard touchdown for the CB East Patriots. They're on the board 6-0 with 7:20 left in the first quarter. On to kick the extra point is number 53, Tim Becker. Habel with the hold. The kick is up, and it is good. 7-0. CB East comes up with the first touchdown of this game. And already Brian Scott has 64 yards rushing. 64 total yards, rather. We'll take a look at this catch by Brian Scott.
It's just great timing on Scott's part here. And not only using his 6'2 body, but his also great vertical jump, which he he might have gotten from basketball. He is really one of the better area basketball players, too.
So Brian Scott with a very athletic play, showing why he's one of the best all-around receivers and backs in the area. He's also CB East's leading receiver, has 16 receptions coming into this game for 250 yards and an average of 15.63 yards per carry. One point I'd like to make, Joe, Brian Scott is such an explosive back that in every game this year so far, and that's 7 games for CB East, and make that now 8 games, that he's scored a touchdown of at least 30 yards in length. So this guy is a big play back and receiver for the Patriots, and there's no replacement for that.
You're right. CB East almost counts on him to make these big plays for them. All around, they're not the best of teams. They have a 4-3 record, but with a great player like Brian Scott, who can carry a team like he does, it's a big advantage.
So Justin Habel will line up to kick this one off for CB East. Heike Johnson and Aaron Thomas back deep to receive for the Knights. Habel with the kick. It's a high wobbler. It'll be taken on the far side by Aaron Thomas at his 5-yard line. They're going to run a little scrum coming out of it. Who has the ball? Looked like Aaron Thomas actually kept that, and CB East would have nothing of that trickery as he's stuffed inside his 10-yard line at the 7. So North Penn trying to come out with a little pickup football play right there, coming out of that flying V. And CB East did a good job of staying at home and picking up Aaron Thomas on that one.
That's really a tough call to make on the first kickoff, though, Kyle. It's a very close call to make, but CB East really wasn't fooled on that play, as we saw. They just came right through the pile and just tackled Thomas, who still had the ball. It wasn't even like a trick play.
So Parentozzi will come out of the shotgun here. It looks like the Knights will start to pass. No backs in the backfield. Now they're going to come up to a 2-back set, Vielhauer and Johnson. Mays lined up in the slot as the tight end on the near side. Parentozzi takes it, gives it up the middle to Vielhauer. Nowhere for the Knights. So Vielhauer cannot get things started for the Knights. A little formation change right there, and the Knights could not fool the Patriots on that play.
You're right. All that motion in the backfield really didn't fool the Patriots' defensive line, who had great push into the offensive section of North Penn.
So 2nd and 10 on the North Penn 7-yard line. 6:40 to go in this first quarter. 7-0, the Patriots have the lead. Parentozzi will line up under center. Backs in the I now move to an open set. Vielhauer and Johnson. Parentozzi calls for a timeout. Did not like what he saw. So North Penn will try to get things settled down here. And really, Joe, when you look at trick plays such as that kickoff return, they're either a big momentum swing in the game or they can really kill you, as it seems like the momentum right here is into CB East's hands after they have stopped that trick play on that kickoff return. And they did a good job of staying at home in their lanes and came up and stuffed Aaron Thomas inside the 10-yard line. So North Penn has 93 yards to get onto the board. So that trick play right there could have backfired against the Knights' offensive game plan.
Especially since the defense has made a nice stop on Vielhauer up the middle, too, which has also given the defense a little more momentum. North Penn really should just try to run an outside play here just to get some yardage, not just to get away from the end zone. You don't want to be near your defending end zone.
Yeah, North Penn coming into this game is averaging 193.8 yards on the ground on offense and 87.8 yards through the air for a total of 281.7 yards a game. And the Patriots, meanwhile, have 177.3 yards per game on the ground. Most of those are Brian Scott's yards, 75.6 through the air, and those are probably mostly Brian Scott's too, 252.9 yards of total offense. So North Penn with the 2nd and 10 on their own 7. Tight formation. Parentozzi gives it to Johnson, and he'll get outside the 10 to the 11 or 12-yard line. Pickup of about 4 on that play, setting up a 3rd and 6 for North Penn on their 11-yard line. Kenrick Smith and Lou Mims will check into the game. And coming out are the 2 tight ends, Mike Mays and Matt Hertz. So North Penn will probably be going to a passing formation here on 3rd and 6, Joe.
You would think they go to a passing formation, but North Penn does have a couple explosive backs of their own with Heike Johnson and Lou Mims. And Nate Vielhauer also can break one. So, you never know with North Penn. They show a lot of different plays early in the game, every game.
So North Penn with 3 players in the backfield, Mims, Vielhauer, and Johnson. Fitzpatrick and Smith are your wideouts. Now, Vielhauer in motion to the far side. It's an option play. Heike Johnson looking to cut it up. Can he get the first down? Yes, he's out to the 30. 35, 40, 45, and shoved out of bounds at the 47-yard line. A great play call by Coach Pettin on the option. And North Penn has a first down at the 46-yard line. A big pickup on that play of about 35 yards, Joe.
Exactly what I was talking about. Explosive backs can make big plays at any point in the game. And a great play by Coach Pettin, the call. East really probably wasn't looking for an option there, and they were looking more for a pass since Vielhauer went out of his set in the backfield and went out for, but he was just going out there for a block, and nice play by North Penn.
Parentozzi takes the snap, quick give up the middle, a little miscommunication there. Vielhauer stuffed for a 2-yard loss. Ball will now be spotted at the 45-yard line, just inside the 45-yard line, 2nd and 12. North Penn still down 7-0 with 5:15 to go in the first quarter. So Vielhauer looked like he wanted to go to the left side, and Parentozzi tried to hand that one off to the right side, and a little miscommunication, and that results in the 2-yard loss for North Penn.
And Scott Toka really didn't care where they were going. He was just going for the ball on that play.
And Scott Toka is really one of the anchors of this defense for East. He had 3 sacks 2 weeks ago, including a forced fumble that resulted in an East touchdown. So he's one of the captains on this defense. Heike Johnson off tackle across midfield and down to the 46-yard line into CB East territory. Pickup of about 9 on that play, and it will be 3rd and 4. Heike Johnson picking up 7 or 8 on that play. 4:30 to go. And North Penn in a 3rd and 4. Tough call right here, Joe. Let's see what they do. Evan Fitzpatrick will line up as a tight end. Twins left will be Vielhauer and Johnson. Now they go into a different formation. Open set. Vielhauer and Johnson in the backfield. Parentozzi split to the left. It's a give to Johnson off tackle. He gets the first down and busted inside the 35-yard line. Heike Johnson getting the calls early on and making the most of them.
Right, Johnson's trying to tell us, hey, we've heard a lot about this Scott guy, but don't forget about me. I'm Heike Johnson, and I can run the ball just as well. Just because I'm a sophomore, I might not. Just because I don't have as much experience, I'm just as good.
Yeah, Heike Johnson coming into the game, 78 carries, 421 yards for 5 touchdowns and a 5.4 per carry average. He has about half as many carries as Brian Scott and has about half as many yards, so they're basically evenly matched. They just haven't been giving the ball to Heike Johnson as much as Brian Scott, but that's all part of Coach Pettin's game plan. Parentozzi, the quick counter to Heike Johnson, and the defensive CB East picks up on it. And stopping Heike Johnson on that play was Scott Toka once again with the big tackle. No gain, 2nd and 10 for North Penn on the CB East 34-yard line.
You really hate to limit a running back to one style of running, but Johnson is a better open field, get around the corner kind of running back. Vielhauer's better right up the middle, and on that play you could kind of see why Heike Johnson didn't have anywhere to go, and a result of loss of yardage.
Parentozzi in the shotgun. Now he'll come up under center. Trips left. Fitzpatrick, Smith, and Johnson. Vielhauer the single setback. Parentozzi will take the keeper. Gets tripped up at the line of scrimmage by number 75, Paul Marini. So it'll set up a 3rd and 7. Pickup of maybe 3 on that play by Parentozzi. And Joe, even though the Knights are faced with the 3rd and long here, they've really taken up a decent amount of clock time and have gotten a good drive together. So they will need to get a couple, maybe about 15 more yards before they're in Parentozzi's field goal range. So we'll see what they can do on this 3rd and 8 play from CB East 31-yard line. Parentozzi in the shotgun with Heike Johnson in the backfield. Now he'll come under center. Fitzpatrick in motion to the right. He's set now. Mays in the slot. Vielhauer and Johnson in the backfield. The give is to Johnson, and he cuts up 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, and taken out of bounds by Brian Scott, who took him step for step to the 5-yard line. Heike Johnson blowing up here in the first quarter, Joe.
Great job by the offensive line on that play. Great push. Opened up a humongous hole for Johnson to get through. And as soon as Johnson gets through that hole, watch out. He's a very explosive back like we've been talking about.
And if it weren't for the speed of Brian Scott, Heike Johnson was in pay dirt. 1st and goal, North Penn at the 5-yard line. Johnson will come off and catch a breather. He's well deserving of that rest. A great job on the running plays this drive by Heike Johnson. Parentozzi now under center, full house backfield. Vielhauer will take this up the middle, runs into a pile of players, is tackled from behind by number 24. That's Tony Bevavino. Pickup of 1 on that play, setting up 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line, under 2 minutes to go in this first quarter.
Nothing really doing on that play, Kyle. They were just trying to get some extra yardage right within the goal line.
So North Penn, we can really expect to see them stick with Nate Vielhauer. He's been the go-to guy around the goal line this year, and he's coming off his best game of this season, 102 yards on 12 carries versus Pennsbury last week. Parentozzi in the shotgun. Coach is calling for a timeout on the sideline. North Penn's 2nd timeout already in this drive. And really, although it seems that that's not a very good thing to call their 2nd timeout already, which it really isn't, it's better to have a timeout and be safe than be sorry. Right around the goal line, you do not want to cause a turnover. So the North Penn Knights have driven about 90 yards so far, thanks to 86 yards on the ground already by Heike Johnson, who's really stepped it up in this first quarter for the Knights. And like you said earlier, Joe, hey, there may be a Brian Scott on the CB East team, but we got a Heike Johnson who's ready to match him stride for stride. And they had a little meeting on the sideline on that last big play by Johnson. So we'll see what they go with here. Coach Pettin talking it over with his troops on the field. They're going to bring in the big formation. Mike Mays is going to come in. He'll be replacing Wadishu Haybar. Check that. That was Matt Hertz coming off the field. So North Penn has driven 87 yards in this drive, and Heike Johnson has all but 1 of those yards. Second and goal from the 4 as North Penn sets up in their formation, down 7-0. Clock stopped at 1:33 to go in the first quarter. Full house backfield, Vielhauer, Mims, and Johnson. The give is to Vielhauer inside. And is finally tackled. A lot of sideways running right there. No gain on that play. 3rd and 4. Not a lot of north and south, just east and west on that play, Joe.
Yeah, and East is doing a real good job on the inside runs. They really haven't let North Penn get any between the tackle runnings, but outside the tackles where all their damage has been done. So North Penn probably should go back to that with Heike Johnson here and just get a touchdown.
So it will be 3rd and goal from the 4. Lou Mims will come off the field. They'll split Evan Fitzpatrick to the left. Parentozzi in the shotgun. We'll probably see him go under center, and he does. Now Fitzpatrick will come to the right. Mike Mays in the slot. Vielhauer and Johnson in the backfield. Payne gives it off to Johnson, and he's into the end zone for the Knights. Touchdown. So North Penn within 1 as Heike Johnson gets a well-deserved touchdown after marching the Knights almost single-handedly down the field. But let's not overlook the offensive line, Joe. Excellent job by the Knights offensive line.
You're right. We talked about them earlier during the keys of the game and how they were going to be a big part against a little smaller CB East lineup, and they really have done a great job tonight.
Parentozzi will set up for the extra point. Kenrick Smith will do the holding. Trying to get this game tied up with 42 seconds left to go in this first quarter. Ball is snapped, the kick is spotted, it's up, and it's good. 7-all is your score, 42 seconds to go in the first quarter. And here's a look at that Heike Johnson run right off tackle and into the end zone. Look at that great push by the offensive line. McKelvey, Mays, Costolo, you just can't ask for anything better than that out of the Knights offensive line.
You're right. They almost ran like a student body right with a couple pulling guards on that play, Kyle. They just did that marching down the field on that drive, and they should stay with it. I mean, it is working. They're picking on the left side of CB East defense, and Coach Patton might just want to stay with that, like I said.
So North Penn really did not get burnt too badly by Brian Scott on the ground, although they gave up that 33-yard reception. Not much you can do about that. That was more of a luck play than anything else. Parentozzi had great coverage on that. So Brian Scott comes up with a big reception. And that's the reason why this game is tied after North Penn comes back. Parentozzi will kick off for North Penn with 42 seconds left. Stupakis and Scott, the two speedsters, standing on their 4-yard line, ready to receive this kickoff. Parentozzi awaits the whistle and gets it from the official. He'll approach the ball. And the kick is a squibber, a low liner picked at the 8-yard line by Stupakis. He'll cut it outside out to the 30 and tackled at the 32-yard line. Manny Stupakis with a good return, so the CB East Patriots have about the same field position they did for their first drive. We'll see if the Knights defense can hold on this one.
You're right. East really has had better field position than North Penn so far. North Penn was down back on their 5-yard line, I believe, and it was like a 3rd and 7, if I'm right, Kyle. And they just broke it right from there. They had a lot of tough third down plays, but they got the whole drive going.
So CB East will set up their offense. Split to the near side is Rob Linders. And Bevavino and Scott in the backfield in the I formation. Now it's Brian Scott up the middle, tackled by Dave Koslow. There was a fumble on that play. I believe it was ruled to have hit the ground, however. Pickup of 4 or 5 on that play. 2nd and 5 for CB East. Ball at the 36. Inside 15 seconds to go. We'll see if East tries to get this play off or if they'll just wait for the end of the quarter.
Both teams really did a good job of having a lot of time of possession in both their drives.
Justin Habel will watch the clock run out. 7-7 is the score as the end of the first quarter is upon us. So a good quarter by both teams, only 2 drives throughout that quarter. And Heike Johnson gets the 4-yard touchdown run to tie things up after Brian Scott had received a 32-yard touchdown reception. We'll be back with second quarter action at Crawford Stadium after this. Stay with us on North Penn Television.
What if you had to choose between a flower and an elephant? What would you choose? What if you had to decide between a 100-year-old tree and a 1,000,000-year-old beach? Could you choose between drinking clean water or breathing clean air? Now you can choose all these things. Earthshare, the world's leading environmental groups working together. It's one choice we can all live with.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium. Along with Joe Alcaro, I'm Kyle Berger. The Knights are tied with the Patriots 7-7 right now. Look at some stats from the first quarter. Total yards, North Penn had 91. CB East had 79 yards total. Most of them were on one drive for each team. Scott will take this reverse. Good job of containing by Mike Mays, and Nate Vielhauer brings down Scott in the backfield. And that's what we said at the beginning of this show, Joe, that those defensive ends have to contain, and Mike Mays does an excellent job of that. And Brian Scott has his helmet knocked off by Vielhauer.
Just a great job by Mays on that play. Not letting the tight end turn him and letting Scott get around him for the break. Mays is playing great so far, and not letting Scott do what I just said. He's just got to keep that up for the rest of the game.
Justin Habel under center, backs in the eye, Bevavino and Scott. Knights showing blitz, and here it comes. It's Scott on the counter. Check that, it's Habel, and he's stuffed on that keeper. Martin Leonard, good job of the read on the keeper, not biting the Scott fake like I did. And Martin Leonard coming up with a big hit.
Habel just got killed on that play by Leonard. Leonard has made 2 great plays we've seen so far from him, reading the ball, not following the misdirection like you did, Kyle, and coming up and just making the play.
And Martin Leonard, only a 5'9", 165-pound linebacker, but he sure packs a punch. He's a little spark plug out there for the Knights. So Justin Habel will be back to punt. 4th and 9 on CB East 33-yard line. And like you said, Joe, got to watch out for a fake with the quarterback at punt formation. But he will punt this one. And back to receive it on this high wobbler is Heike Johnson at his 30. He drops the football, picks it up, and recovers. And stuffed at the 33-yard line on forward progress. They'll give him possession at the 33-yard line where the Knights will take over on offense. So good job of the Knights on defense on that series, which spanned 2 quarters, to get a 3-and-out from CB East. And coming up with a lot of time on this clock, 10:25 to go in this first half.
You're right, and we really saw the containment on that last defensive series from North Penn. And that's what they got to keep up the whole game to be successful against CB East.
Knights will go with a power I formation. Mims and Vielhauer up, and Heike Johnson about 5 yards back. Now it's Mims in motion to the right side. Quick give inside to Vielhauer, and he'll bust it out, picking up about 6 or 7 yards on that play. So Vielhauer with a quick trap inside picks up 7 yards for the Knights. 2nd and 3 on the 46-yard line.
That really is what Vielhauer does best. Just a short little trap lays right up the middle, a little scheme by the offensive line to get him a little bit of a hole, and he's got great leg movement to get through and break a lot of tackles.
Knights showing that power I formation again. Fitzpatrick and Smith, the wide receivers. Now it's Vielhauer in motion toward the near side. Parentozzi running the option with Johnson, cuts it across the 40, 45, picks up a Knights first down as he comes toward the near sideline. And the Knights will have a first down on the 46-yard line with the clock stopped, 9:40 to go in this first half.
That play could have been a lot bigger if Hakeem Johnson would have cut upfield at a little bit earlier than when he tried to break for the outside, because Vielhauer did a great job of sealing off his man to the outside, and he kind of blocked him right into Hakeem Johnson.
So North Penn running that option quite effectively so far, and they scored a touchdown on that, as we saw in the highlight package at the beginning of the show. Hakeem Johnson getting the option and had a 7-yard touchdown on that play last week against Pennsbury. 1st and 10 Knights. Handoff is to Johnson off the left side. And a good job of breaking down and tackling on that play by number 38, R.J. White of CB East.
Nobody even blocked White on that play. He was just standing there waiting for Johnson to come to him. And like you said, he got low and just did a good job of textbook blocking, tackling on that play. Excuse me.
Seems like Hakeem Johnson really has a big game when he's going against a marquee back on the other team. His biggest game this year came against Ben Salem and the stud Keith Davis when he had 187 yards on 23 carries. So Hakeem Johnson continuing to step it up against the big-name running backs in Suburban 1 football. Parentozzi now will give the inside reverse to Martin Leonard. And that's not going to be like the Aaron Thomas reverse that we saw for 70 yards on that highlight package. CB East did not bite on that one, and Martin Leonard loses about 1 or 2 yards on that play, setting up 3rd and 7 for the North Penn Knights.
Once again, CB East continues to do a great job on the defensive line and the inside. It's only when they break outside that they lose a lot of yardage.
Yeah, right there we saw Martin Leonard coming off the field talking to coaches Beck and Pettin. It looks like Martin Leonard is filling in for Jason Payne's role as the wingback in the Knights offense. Vielhauer in motion. Give up the middle to Mims, and he has the Knights first down. A good run by Lou Mims. As we hear some chants of Lou in the crowd. Pickup of about 10 on that play. 1st and 10 Knights inside the CB West 39-yard line.
Excuse me. Misdirection is really what Coach Pettin preaches on offense. He likes to stun the linebackers for like a minute, like a second or two, so they really can't read the ball. And on that play, we saw Lou Mims just go right up the middle, and the linebackers weren't paying attention to him.
Really good job by Hakeem Johnson and Tom Parentozzi to sell that play and run out that option. So we'll see what North Penn does on 1st and 10. They'll give it to Hakeem Johnson. Not much doing on that left side, but he does manage to slash inside the 36-yard line for a pickup of 2 yards. 2nd and 8 North Penn. With 7:10 to go in this second quarter, the score is tied at 7.
North Penn once again taking a lot of time off the clock, keeping the ball for themselves, not letting CBEs get back into the scoring momentum.
Yeah, they're really taking advantage of the 25-second play clock and using a good chunk of that while they're managing to chalk up some real estate on the scoreboard. North Penn is easily outgaining CB East in yardage right now. Double tight end formation, Johnson to the left. And it's a keeper by Parentozzi. And he'll pick up about 4 yards. And Joe, one thing I noticed on that play, Hakeem Johnson really kind of looked like he was going to block his man downfield and just sort of let up on him. And that kind of cost Tom Parentozzi a couple yards as he had to cut outside. So Johnson not doing the best that he could on blocking downfield there. 3rd and 5 for the Knights on the 34-yard line of CB East.
A little bit of exhaustion might be coming into play for Hakeem Johnson, who has been playing both ways for North Penn tonight.
3rd and 4 make it, as it's a power I formation. Parentozzi will take the snap. As there's motion, misdirection, flags are all over the place. North Penn just did not know what to do on that play as Mims and Vielhauer both went into motion at the same time and clunked heads in the backfield. And then Evan Fitzpatrick was trying to call timeout on the near side. Just a lot of confusion on that play. We'll see if we can pick up this call. The officials having a conference right now. Clock is stopped with 6:39 to go in the second quarter. It will probably be a procedure penalty. No flag on the play, as North Penn had called timeout, I believe.
I think that might be a delay of game.
You're right, Joe. You're right. Yeah, the official waved off the flag as a procedure penalty and is now calling it a delay of game. So it should be 5 yards, and it would be 3rd and 9 for North Penn. Now they're going to have a conference on the far side of the field with the officials. Just confusion down on the field right now, as there's now been a timeout called by North Penn. So North Penn has no timeouts left. Used all 3 of their timeouts, and there's still a good chunk of time to go in this first half with a tie game. So Coach Pettin out there talking to his offensive group. This timeout is about to end as North Penn will take over once again on the 33-yard line, where it will be 3rd and 4.
Timeouts usually come into play, but if you're controlling the ball as well as North Penn has been for this first half, you really don't need your timeouts as much as if you were struggling on offense and a lot more miscommunication in your backfield.
And with just under 6:40 to go in this first half, CB East will most likely see another possession, and they'll have all 3 of their timeouts to manage the clock. So North Penn will have 3rd and 4 right now, waiting for the ball to be put in play, and it is. Jeff Bloom, the center, takes the ball. He'll be snapping to Tom Parentozzi. Passing formation for the Knights. Parentozzi will drop back into the shotgun. Mays in the near slot. Fitzpatrick wide to the far side. Handoff on the draws to Heike Johnson, and he breaks loose, but is just tripped up. Great tackle on that play by Troy Lavinia for CB East. 4th down for the Knights. We'll see if they go for it now.
It's a really nice call by Coach Patton on that play. When you're going into a shotgun formation, you usually think pass, and then a nice little draw out to the outside by Hakeem Johnson. Got a couple yards and close to a first down, and we'll just have to see if they go for it.
So 4th and about a yard. Ball right on the 30-yard line, and although Heike Johnson did not pick up the first down, he's over the 100-yard mark halfway through this second quarter. So Knights will come into this 4th and short situation, tight formation. Might see a QB sneak by Tom Parentozzi. It's a handoff to Vielhauer, and he has the North Penn first down. So a good call by Pettin, and that's what we've been seeing all year. Vielhauer in the short yardage, just coming up the middle and knocking people over as the battering ram.
Good push by the offensive line on that play, just to get into the legs of the defensive line and sending them back a yard or 2.
So 1st and 10 on the CB East 28-yard line. Are they going to measure this? Yes, they are. Officials have stopped the clock. They're going to bring out a measurement. I'm pretty sure he has this, Joe. CB East might have just asked for a measurement.
The far yardstick appears to have the first down. I'm not sure.
And North Penn does have that first down. Never a doubt in my mind about that one, Joe.
Good call, Kyle.
1st and 10, North Penn, 5:46 to go. The clock will stop as they get these first down markers set up, and they do. Clock running now. Matt Hertz comes into the game for Kenrick Smith. Knights have to be wary of the wrong personnel. They don't have any timeouts left. So it will be the open formation, Vielhauer and Johnson in the backfield. Parentozzi. The quick give is to Vielhauer. He's inside the 20 and down to the 16-yard line. Pickup of 13 on that play. Big run by Nate Vielhauer, the fullback.
Nate Vielhauer, we usually see him as the inside backer, but when he gets into the open field, he's just as quick as Hakeem Johnson is. As you could see, he almost broke that play, but Brian Scott made a nice play coming up just to get an open field tackle on him.
CB East is giving up 177. Check that, 158.9 yards a game on the ground. So North Penn is just about at that mark, and we're 5 minutes to go in the first half. Tom Parentozzi, the handoff to Heike Johnson around the 15-yard line, and face mask flag on that play. That was pretty blatant right there. That'll be a half the distance penalty and another North Penn first down. An injured player now for CB East, as the face mask is the call. I think Brian Scott's going to get rung up for that one, as Heike Johnson got tossed out of bounds by his face mask, and that's obviously illegal. So CB East is attending to their injured player. I can't pick up the number on that right now. Clock stopped with 4:49 to go in the second quarter. North Penn has 7 points, as does the CB East Patriots. And walking off the field on his own power is number 38, R.J. White. He appears to be all right, so he should be able to come back into the game later. He does have to go off for a play, however.
North Penn right now saying to CB East in so many words that we can just drive on you at any time we want. They've put together 2 nice long possession drives right now, and you hate to call a touchdown, but they're pretty close to scoring another one, Kyle.
Yeah, you can feel it. There's a certain air to the atmosphere right now that North Penn is about to score. And they're going to bring in a measurement here on the penalty. They're not sure if that penalty yardage, which was half the distance, will give North Penn a first down, so we'll see what happens on this measurement. They'll stretch the sticks, and North Penn does have a first down. First and goal on the 5-yard line. So North Penn, as you said, Joe, really about ready to strike, and you can sense it.
Especially if they keep running those off-tackle plays with Heike Johnson, or the misdirections inside by Vielhauer really have been the only running plays we've seen, except for a couple keepers by Parentozzi. But the big plays have come off of those two.
And North Penn has not passed the ball yet, but nobody's complaining as they're moving the ball real well. Big formation in the backfield. Parentozzi under center will take this ball, and he'll keep it around the corner. Touchdown Knights! Tom Parentozzi on the keeper. Pick up a 5 yards on that play, and he's in for the North Penn touchdown.
That's one advantage of having a very quick quarterback, Kyle. He can break to the outside just as fast as Johnson can, and just as fast as Vielhauer and Mims, the other running backs. He's back there as a running back. That's why he's a quarterback, and just not because he throws the ball.
And of course, North Penn, as we said, did not throw the ball yet in this first half, and they only threw the ball 4 times against Pennsbury and just had 1 completion, and it was only for 3 yards. So North Penn just sticking with the ground game, and like I said before, nobody's complaining. The ball is spotted for the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. 14-7. North Penn has the lead. 4:44 to go in this first half. There's a look at that keeper by Tom Parentozzi, and really set up nicely. Fakes the give to Vielhauer, and he was into the end zone, just beating Brian Scott to that corner, and Joe showing real good speed on that play.
Right, like I mentioned, Tom Parentozzi is very quick. He can throw the ball also, so he's a double asset back there in the backfield for North Penn.
And that's Tom Parentozzi's 3rd touchdown of the year. He picked up 1, as we saw in the highlight tape from Pennsbury last week, that 12-yard keeper. And that was sort of the same play right there. It was just to the opposite side of the field. It was run to the right side of the line against Pennsbury, and the same exact play coming toward the near sideline, and Parentozzi goes untouched basically into that end zone.
Not to be forgotten, though, CB East does have all their timeouts left, and there's still about 5 minutes left on the clock, and that's plenty of time to get down the field and score again, which CB East needs to do here.
Tom Parentozzi will kick this one off for the Knights, and Brian Scott and Manny Stupakis back to receive for the Patriots. The kick is away. It's a low-line drive taken on one hop on his knee. And a good call by the official right on top of that. Not a very smart play by Manny Stupakis as he took that one on his knee. And he'll be docked for the for the bad play right there, and it will be taken at the 15-yard line by CB East.
Stupakis maybe thinking he was in the NFL there for a second, Kyle. You can't do that in high school or college football, put a knee down. You're considered down. He was just trying to block the ball, which is a good thing on a punt return, but not on a kickoff return.
1st and 10 on CB East. 10-yard line, not the 15-yard line, as I had said before. Split to the near side for the Patriots is Rob Linders. Parentozzi will be covering him, giving him a good 10-yard cushion, almost a prevent defense for the Knights. Doesn't matter, however, as the give is into the middle. Brian Scott picks up about 2 or 3 yards for the Patriots, setting up 2nd and 7.
We might see the Patriots go to the air a little more on this drive because an incomplete pass does stop the clock. And they did very well in their only pass so far tonight to Brian Scott for the touchdown. And you really just need to loft it up to Scott since he's so tall and he has that jumping ability.
And breakaway speed, too, with that 4.5 40-yard dash speed. And that's NFL caliber speed right there. And definitely NCAA Division I. Hable on the misdirection to Brian Scott. He'll go up the middle, picks up about 3 yards. And it will be 3rd and 3 for CB East on their own 17 or 18-yard line.
It's a very big play here for CB East. They really need to get this first down, sustain a nice drive, like I said earlier. And this is where it all comes down to, this play. Third and about 1 now. So they'll probably go for it on 4th, too.
Justin Hable under center. Backs are Stupakis and Scott, and it goes to Scott, and he's close to a first down. I'm not sure if he got it. And he does have it. No need for a measurement on that. Ball is now at the 20-yard line. Clock is now running. 3:15 to go in the second quarter. 14-7. North Penn has the lead. Might try to air it out here, you would think, Joe.
You would think they would try for one air out pass by Hable, because he really does have a pretty good arm, as we saw earlier, lofting the ball up about 20 yards to Scott. But it looks like they're going to run on this play.
Hable will give it to Scott, and he's met about 2 yards into the Knights' defense by Nate Vielhauer and Martin Leonard, along with Mike Kapusta, who is really, as we said before, become a main factor in the Knights' defense, picking up a huge game against Pennsbury last week and making a good tackle on that play, along with 3 of his teammates.
And that's also good news for North Penn's future, seeing how he's only a sophomore, along with Hakeem Johnson. They've got a good core of sophomores on this varsity team this year.
And let's not forget Chris McKelvey on the offensive line as well, one of the biggest players on the Knights roster. Stupakis is split to the near side in the wide receiver position. It's going to be a reverse to Stupakis. Hable looking to block. Stupakis calling for a block. He cuts it upfield. He has room. Another cut. He's still on his feet. 35, 40, 45. Kenrick Smith trying to cut off the angle, and Stupakis with a juke past him. Ball is loose, but it is called out of bounds. A very interesting play right there. Stupakis ran about 100 yards on that play and gained about 30.
Right, he's just going back and forth up and down the field, Kyle. And the thing on that play that really killed North Penn were arm tackles. Nobody broke down and tried to get to the center of his body. They were just trying to throw him down on the ground. And Stupakis is only 5'9", and that might be a little bit of an advantage to what they were trying to do, but it was a nice play by Stupakis.
The next chance we get, we'll take a look at that crazy play. We'll pick up action here as it's 1st and 10 on the North Penn 37-yard line. CB East calls timeout, so we'll take a look at this Stupakis reverse. And this was pretty obvious from the beginning of the play, but Stupakis just cutting around right there. Mike Mays with an arm tackle, another one by Lou Mims. As he's running at midfield, jukes Kenrick Smith. Lou Mims comes back, pops the ball out, but I don't know why they called that one out of bounds, Joe. It looked like North Penn was able to strip the ball, namely Lou Mims, and Jeff Bloom fell on it, but the official on the near side, who obviously has a better angle than us, called that one out of bounds. So the Patriots dodge a bullet right there.
Lou Mims did a great job of hustling back. Even though he missed the initial tackle, he did a good job of coming back, trying to hit the ball and make a play for North Penn.
So minute 57 is where the clock is stopped. In the second quarter, 14-7, North Penn with the lead. CB East will take over after this timeout. 1st and 10 on North Penn's 37-yard line. Now they'll send Stupakis and Scott to the far sideline. Twins left, showing pass. But it's a draw up the middle to Mark Notwick. Nothing doing on that play. Maybe about a yard. 2nd and 9 now for CB East.
North Penn really didn't have their defensive set ready, and if Habel might have picked up on that, he might have called an audible. Nobody was out there covering Scott and Stupakis. There was only one D-back out there. Coaches were yelling at him, but they still didn't pick up on it.
They'll run the same formation now. Stupakis and Scott split left. Split to the near side is Rob Linders, single setback, Tony Bevavino. Habel is back to pass, 3-step drop. Ball popped in the air, but unable to get it was Heike Johnson looking for Rob Linders right there. Just couldn't get his hands on that as it doinked off his chest and shoulder pads straight up into the air, and Tom Parentozzi with good pressure on the coverage.
As a receiver, you never want the ball to come and hit you in the chest protector because it's hard plastic and it'll make it bounce up in the air like we just saw. You want to get your hands on it and catch it down in front of you.
So Justin Habel is now 1 for 2 through the air. Of course, 1 touchdown, that 33-yard strike to Brian Scott. He's sticking with the same formation. As Habel takes the snap, he's going on the crossing route and drilled after he catches the ball. Is Brian Scott, but it is a first down. Big hit by Kenrick Smith, but could not knock the ball loose. First down, CB East on the North Penn 25-yard line.
You're right, Scott. You're sure. Excuse me. You're certain that Scott heard the footsteps on that play, but it really didn't affect him. Great concentration on his part. We've seen 2 nice catches of great concentration by Scott tonight.
4 receivers for CB East. The lone setback, Mark Notwick, and he'll take the fake, and it's the quarterback keeping it, Justin Habel. Good job containing once again by North Penn. Heike Johnson and Mike Mays coming over to knock him out of bounds. And CB East takes their second timeout, stopping the clock with 42 seconds left. They only picked up about 1.5 yards on that play, 2nd and 8 after the timeout for CB West.
On that last play, you could see Johnson and Mays, instead of running after him, they were shifting their legs and moving laterally with them, which is to not let Habel get around them. And North Penn really has done a good job of that tonight. You could see that they worked on it in practice of containment, and they've done a good job of it all year. On all the games we've seen, nobody's really broke outside on North Penn's defense.
Justin Habel has thrown the ball 100 times this year through 7 games. That's an average of about 13 per game, and he's only thrown 2 passes so far tonight. Make that 3 passes as he's completed 2 to Brian Scott for a total of about 45 yards. So 2nd and 8 for CB West, 42 seconds to go in the second quarter. 14-7, North Penn has the lead late in this first half. Ball on the North Penn 23-yard line. Justin Habel calling the play to his huddle. They'll stick with their usual 4 wide receiver formation. Scott and Stupakis to the left, and Bevavino along with Linders on the right. 3-step drop, going on the fade pattern to Scott. That's the touchdown play, and they have another one. Same play as the first touchdown. Brian Scott finds pay dirt off of the Justin Habel pass, and just a good play by CB East. Not much North Penn could do on that one.
On that play, it's just a matter of trust between Habel and Scott. Habel's just lofting the ball up there, up for grabs, and Scott does a great job of coming down with it on that play and then eventually finding the end zone.
Habel will spot this extra point attempt by Tim Becker, trying to tie up the score at 14-all. Ball is spotted. It's a low snap. It's up, and it is good just inside that left post. Tie ball game, 14-14. Here's a look at that great fade pattern by Brian Scott. Just a great ball right there by Justin Habel, and North Penn Knights defense ran into each other, and Brian Scott picks up his second receiving touchdown of the game. So he's burnt North Penn more through the air than he has on the ground. So the Knights might have to adjust at halftime. As I talked to Coach Pettin earlier this week, he was saying they're going to key on Scott on the ground for the most part. But really, he's surprised them through the air, picking up 2 touchdown receptions.
That's the advantage of being a superb athlete. You can be moved around to where you're going to be best suited for each game. In this game, he's best suited as a wide receiver, even though he has done a good job running the ball, too.
So 36 seconds left in the first half. North Penn with no timeouts. We'll see what they do. CB East has one timeout remaining if they need to stop the clock for any reason. Quarterback and kicker Justin Habel will put this one into play. Back to receive, Aaron Thomas, the sophomore, and his sophomore teammate, Heike Johnson. Habel will approach the ball. The kick is away. It's a squib kick. High hop taken by Kenrick Smith. Looking to cut it outside, and he does. He has room out to the 35, 40, and knocked out of bounds at the 43, 44-yard line. So good field position for the Knights, but really they only have time for about 4 plays without a timeout.
And with only 4 plays left, you can expect for them to go to the air. .28 seconds left, second quarter, tie score, 14-14. It would really be great for the North Penn Knights to get a touchdown or a field goal here, but field goal is kind of out of the question because they won't be able to stop the clock with no timeouts left. They might have to get down the field quickly and spike the ball. They'll go trips left. Fitzpatrick, Leonard, and Johnson. And on the far side is Kenrick Smith. And the shotgun, Parentozzi rolling on the waggle play to the left side on the quick out to Leonard. And he does get out of bounds. A very smart play by the junior, Martin Leonard, on the 12-yard out pattern, and a good ball by Parentozzi. His first pass of the game completes it right into the hands of Martin Leonard and out of bounds at the CB East 44-yard line, only using up 5 seconds of time on the clock. Like you said, you just want to get out of bounds on that play. It was a nice completion, good rollout pass by Parentozzi. And Martin Leonard did a great job of feeling the terrain of the field, which does slope down the end lines, like we talked about at soccer games. It's just a good play all around by North Penn.
Parentozzi remains in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers for North Penn. Vielhauer the single setback. Parentozzi rolling right now. Look out on the blitz. Gets the ball away. Tipped in midair. And really good pressure on that play by Nick Norvillis on the blitz. Parentozzi took a whack on that play and almost has it picked off by Mark Notwick, who tipped it high into the air, but CB East could not find the ball in midair.
Norvillis wasn't touched going through there. And Parentozzi, not the biggest of guys, probably couldn't see over him eventually when he got within 5 yards of him.
And what happened on that play was Nate Vielhauer, the single setback, went out on a flare route instead of staying back to block, but that's part of the play, so you just have to take the blitz on that play. He'll be in the backfield again with Parentozzi, who's in the shotgun. Vielhauer will stay back to block this time. Parentozzi over the middle! Almost caught by Martin Leonard. That would have been a play of about 20 yards, and that would have gotten the Knights into field goal range. But just out of the reach of Martin Leonard. Not a bad ball by Parentozzi, throwing it only where Martin Leonard can catch that, but Martin Leonard filling in for Jason Payne, doing an adequate job so far, but just it seemed like Payne might have caught that one. You never know, though, Joe. We're not out there. It's Martin Leonard.
It's a really nice pass by Parentozzi. It's the first one we've seen with real zip on it.
Parentozzi will remain in the shotgun. Plenty of time. Throwing over the middle. Heike Johnson has it thrown behind him, almost picked off on that play by Steve Kreider. 8 seconds left. This might be the last play from scrimmage. North Penn will have a 4th and 10 on the CB East 44-yard line. We'll see what they do here, Joe.
You'd have to expect either a long bomb or just to run out the clock, but it doesn't look like they're running out the clock, so they got trips right. Probably look for the Hail Mary here.
Fitzpatrick on the right side. Parentozzi throws. Yes, Fitzpatrick. He catches it inside that 11-yard line, but clock runs out in this first half. 14-14 is the score. North Penn tied with CB East in a battle in Suburban 1 League football. North Penn, as we said at the top of the show, needs this win. If they want to get to the district playoffs, automatically they have to win the remainder of these 3 games. Tonight against CB East, next week against Neshaminy at home, and on Halloween night in Norristown. So North Penn will talk things over at halftime, looking to get things going again. They will receive the ball to start the second half, and Heike Johnson with a huge half for North Penn, Joe.
You're right. He's been breaking tackles, getting to the outside where he's most effective, and he's very quick. He's really showed up. You don't like to say showed up, but it's the only word I could think of right now. Brian Scott so far tonight, who's been mainly out there as a receiver. North Penn and East have both played a very good game. It's 14-14 as the scoreboard suggests. It's just been a hard-fought battle by both teams so far, Kyle.
Well, the Marching Knights are taking the field, and in a few minutes, the 1997 homecoming court will be taking the field as well. We'll be back with the festivities in homecoming 1997 at North Penn High School. Stay with us. We'll be back on Channel 16.
You are 100% unadulterated energy. You have no choice but movement. You aren't acted on. You are action. You have the power to make the world a better place. You already know how to do it. Volunteer now for the American Red Cross. Call your local chapter for details.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium. It's homecoming night, obviously, at North Penn High School. The Marching Knights are on the field serenading the homecoming court, and we'll listen in on the festivities. Stay with us.
5 females were then placed on a ballot for the junior and senior classes to vote on. The field was narrowed down to the 14 finalists which will be showcased tonight. In homeroom on Friday, all the members of the student body cast his or her vote on the 1997 homecoming king and queen. We are now honored to introduce to you the 1997 homecoming court composed of 14 finalists. Within the next few minutes, we will crown the 1997-1998 homecoming king and queen of North Penn High School.
The first female member of the court is Lauren Allen. Lauren is being escorted by Andrew McCarthy. Lauren participates on the winter track and lacrosse team. She is also a part of the student government and Students Against Driving Drunk. Lauren earns money by working at Gennardi's. Her future plans are to attend a college close to home so that her mom can do her laundry. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Miss Lauren Allen.
The first male member of the court is Sam McCowie. Sam is being escorted by Christy Jones. Sam is on the wrestling team and is a convoy at Super G. And during his free time, he likes to hang out with his friends. His future plans are to attend a 4-year college majoring in engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Sam McCowie.
The second member of the female court is Michelle Batliner. Michelle is being escorted by Jamie Friley. Michelle is in the work-study program at North Penn and has been working as a dietary aide at the Brittany Point Estate. Michelle is active in ski club and was involved with Special Olympics. Michelle is also on the basketball team, the tennis team, and the soccer team. After graduation, Michelle plans to attend college and study art therapy. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Michelle Batliner.
The next member of the male court is Christopher Beals. Chris is being escorted by Jamie Petro. Chris is involved in the Thespian, National Honor Society, and the Green Room. He is the vice president of the class of 1998, as well as a member of the Key Club, Ski Club, and Winter Track. After high school, Chris plans on going to college, getting a good job, earning lots of money, and retiring early. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mr. Christopher Beals.
Our third female court member is Monica Joy. Monica is being escorted by Bill Baldwin. Monica is the president of the class of 1998. She is in the Key Club and serves as the lieutenant governor of the state board and has a part-time job. Her plans after high school are to attend a 4-year college and major in international relations. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Monica Joy.
Our third male member of the court is Ron Calarco. Ron is being escorted by Allison Keller. Ron participates on the winter and spring track teams. He is also Representatives. Ron is active in chorus because he loves to sing. His plans for the future include going to college and majoring in physical education. He hopes to get a scholarship for pole vaulting and track. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ronald Calarco.
Our next female member of the court is Katrina Joseph. Katrina is being escorted by Josie Mills. Katrina ran cross country in 10th and 11th grade. She has participated on the track and basketball teams since 9th grade. Currently, Katrina is involved in the African Awareness Club and also holds the position of Roma representative. Katrina plans to attend college and major in occupational therapy. Then, Katrina hopes to marry and live a happy life. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Katrina Joseph.
Our next member of the male court is Tony DiMizio. Tony is being escorted by Suzanne Horst. Tony serves as the news anchor for North Penn TV and is also involved with the Night Crier. Tony enjoys writing poetry and songs. He can be found working at Tenardi's. Tony hopes to attend Kutztown University and at Kutztown hopes to major in TV or video broadcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony DiMizio.
The fifth member of the court is Katie Love. Katie is being escorted by Dave Pittman. Katie is one of the drum majors of the Marching Knights. Katie also participates in the orchestra and wind ensemble. Katie is involved on the class of 1998 cabinet at the National Honor Society. She was formerly a varsity field hockey and lacrosse player. After high school, Katie plans to attend a four-year college to major in pre-medical studies. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Katie Love.
The fifth member of the court is Greg Fox. Greg is being escorted by Becky Mayer. Greg is the drum major of the Marching Knights. Greg is also the president of National Honor Society and the co-chair for the Special Olympics. After high school, Greg plans to attend a four-year university majoring in computer or electric engineering. Greg would like to get a job in the computer field, marry, and live a happy life. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gregory Fox.
The sixth female candidate is Melissa Maylock. Melissa is being escorted by Ryan Gordon. Melissa is a cheerleader and a chamber singer. She is also in concert choir. Melissa plans to attend either Ohio State University or Florida State. She wants to cheer in college and major in either dance, voice, or psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Miss Melissa Maylock.
Our next male member of the court is Josh Huebner. Josh is being escorted by Megan Hopper. He is active in spring track, cross country, winter track, and young life. Josh is also on the boys varsity basketball team. His future plans are to go to a four-year university and earn a degree in education. Josh plans to be a professor, have a large family, and live on a farm in either Montana or Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joshua Huebner.
Our final female candidate is Monica White. Monica is being escorted by Artie Peterson. As a student government vice president, Monica is involved in many activities. She was activities coordinator her junior year and a senator in her sophomore year. Currently, Monica is involved in the African Awareness Club, the theater, and she was a member of the Northland Strategic Planning Committee. Monica plans to attend college and major in plea law. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Miss Monica White.
Our final male court member is John Walton. John is being escorted by Dolly House. John is a member of the Simulation Gaming Society and the stage crew for North Bend High School Theater. John plays bass, keyboards, and does programming for his band, 2 Miles High. John wants to be successful with his band, own and operate his own nightclub and radio station. John wants everyone to be able to listen to decent music on their way to school. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mr. John Walton.
During the homecoming assembly on Wednesday, the homecoming court had their chance to state several issues that this year's talking about. This year's homecoming court is concerned with several issues including racism in our society, ending drinking and driving, community service, apathy, educating our youth, and animal research. We would like to congratulate the members of the court and wish each one luck. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the 1997-1998 homecoming court.
At this time, please welcome back to North Bend High School our 1996 homecoming king and queen, Mr. David DiFrancesco and Miss Catherine Cara. David is now attending college at St. Joseph, where he is majoring in psychology. Katie is attending West Virginia University, and she is majoring in elementary education. Let us give them a big welcome home. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our second runner-up for homecoming king is Mr. Gregory Fox.
Our second runner-up for homecoming queen is Miss Katrina Joseph.
Our first runner-up for homecoming king is Mr. Sam McCowie.
Our first runner-up for homecoming queen is Miss Lauren Allen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our 1997-1998 North Penn homecoming king is Mr. Ron Calarco.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our 1997-1998 North Bend High School's homecoming queen is Miss Melissa Miller. introduce us to our new homecoming queen.
We would like to thank the homecoming committee for their work and the Central Bucks East High School Marching Band for relinquishing their halftime activities. Finally, we would like to thank the following contributors that helped make this night possible. Small Tuxedo Rental in Montgomery Mall for donating the tuxedos to the 7 members of the King's Cart. Also to Silk and Fresh Floors located on Valley Forge Road in Lansdale for supplying the beautiful flowers and boutonnieres to all the members of the court, which were presented to by Mr. Lemon, the class of 98 advisor, earlier this evening. Thanks to Bergie's Jeep Eagle Dealer in Lansdale for donating the Hunter Green Jeep Wrangler, which you saw this evening. Thank you to all the families and students who contributed to their convertibles that brought in the members of this year's court.
Following tonight's game, all North Penn High School faculty, alumni, and fans are invited to remain in the stands to hear a full performance by award-winning marching knights. This evening, the senior class will be sponsoring a dance in the cafeteria, at which time we will honor the homecoming king and queen. Music will be provided by Swan Sound DJs. We would like to congratulate Miss Melissa Maylott and Ron Clarko and all the members of the homecoming chorus. Thank you to all, and good luck North Penn Knights in the second half.
So once again, congratulations to Melissa Maylott and Ron Clarko on being awarded Homecoming Queen and Homecoming King for the 1997-1998 school year. Congratulations to both of those students. We'll be back after this with One-on-One. I had a chance to talk with Evan Fitzpatrick. We'll hear from him in the third quarter after this on North Penn Television. Stay with us.
Your parents are always bugging you to get out and exercise. But the last people you want to be like are your parents.
Hello and welcome to One-on-One. Joining me today is Evan Fitzpatrick. We hope you enjoyed the first half of football action on North Penn Television. And Evan, last year, CB East defeated you guys by a score of, I believe, 43-17, and you guys are looking to exact your revenge tonight against the Patriots. What have you been looking forward to in the week's worth of preparation against the Patriots?
Well, basically, we're just looking for another win because that's what we've been looking for all season. We stand 5-1, and we're second in the league, and we just want to beat another good team and take home the W.
Now, against Brian Scott, obviously, is the center point of CB East offense. What did you guys work on this week defensively to prepare for a running back with the caliber of Brian Scott?
Well, defensively, we put in a couple of new things, a couple of things to cover him when he goes out for a pass. We have a kind of a double coverage set up for him, and we put in a couple new things with the linebackers to set up for his running attack because he is a great runner. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's a very talented runner, very agile and very strong, big guy.
Now, for you personally on offense, you being the wide receiver for the Knights, do you feel that you have to step it up this week to fill in for Jason Payne, even though we'll probably see some limited action tonight? Do you feel that personally you have to step up your game a little more to make the offense more potent without Payne in the lineup?
Well, personally, yeah, I do feel I have to step it up a little bit because Jason was a big part of our offense. And also the rest of the offense is going to have to step up because we kind of had to move a couple of people around to compensate for the absence of Payne. So, yeah, we're going to have to step it up a little.
Now, on the offensive line, they obviously had a great second half. In fact, the whole game against Pennsbury last week, you guys managed to crank out a ton of rushing yardage thanks to your offensive line, which is one of the bigger offensive lines in the league. And against CB East, they're not a small team. Do you think the offensive line will have a tougher game against East than it did against Pennsbury last week?
Well, they may have a tougher game because they do have a couple of big defensive linemen. But the way our offensive line has been able to not only overpower teams by size, but with skill, because we have a lot of very complicated blocking schemes which confuse defenses and enable us to open up the holes for our tailbacks like Heike and Lou. So I think that we might struggle a little bit in the beginning, but I think we'll still grind it out on the ground.
Now, as far as the playoff picture goes for you guys, on Coach's Corner earlier this week, Coach Pettin pointed it out that you guys control your own destiny, meaning if you win all your games, you're basically a lock for the District 1 playoffs. So obviously you guys this week have been getting pumped up for the CB East game, and then of course you have Neshaminy next week at home, and then you play Norristown. So what are you guys going through as a team right now, trying to prepare for the remainder of the season, knowing that you have to win all your games?
Well, we have come to the realization that we have to win all our games, like you said, and we're just taking it week by week, game by game. After losing the West, it kind of dimmed our hopes a little bit because we knew we had to win the rest of our games. And last week we really showed up against Pennsbury and were able to defeat them. So this week we're just going to do the same with East, take care of business, and then next week against Neshaminy, and then the following week with Norristown.
Okay, Evan, thanks for being on the show, and that's all the time we have for one-on-one. Second half action continues with CB East after this on North Penn Television. Stay with us.
Over 2 million acres of our wildlands burn each year, and hundreds of homes are lost as a result.
At least 50 homes were burned to the ground. Dozens more were damaged as fires raced through dense brush and steep canyons.
Flames don't know the difference between forest, rangelands, and homes. Learn how you can fireproof your home. For more information, contact your local fire protection agency, state forestry office, or the USDA Forest Service.
What are you gonna take?
Algebra.
Algebra.
If no one's explained how algebra, geometry, and calculus can improve your future, call MACME. We'll tell you.